Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the rest of you. Welcome to another episode of Bitcoin Magazine Live. I'm your host, Q, coming to you yet again from my mother's basement, and I'm joined by my co host, P. How goes it, P?
It goes fantastic as always. Yeah, man, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin 2023 in Miami. Let's fucking go.
Well, yeah, way to just, totally rug pull the big part of the story. But let's introduce our guests, none other than George Mekhail and CK Snark from Bitcoin Magazine. And as P has already let the world know, we are returning to Miami next year.
Yeah, it's going down.
Let's do it.
Calling in from the studio here in Nashville at Bitcoin Magazine HQ, and yeah, excited for this huge announcement. I mean, where should we get started? Should we just go to the website? I just think this theme is so fucking real. It's something that only Bitcoiners would lean into, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I also think it's worth just kind of giving the announcement explicitly. We're back in Miami for Bitcoin 2023, May 18th through the 20th. It's going to be a 3-day conference with an industry day on day one, GA day as well, GA day 1, GA day 2, and Sound Money Fest this year is going to be on GA day 2 starting in the afternoon. So I'm really excited to be back in Miami for one more year at least. This is going to be the last time in Miami for at least a while. So we're going to go out with a bang. We might be back in Miami in the future, but definitely talking to other cities for Bitcoin 2024 and beyond. So excited to do one more big party in Miami.
Damn. So this might be not necessarily the swan song, but a nice little pause. So I think everyone in the Miami area has to attend. Everyone has to. If you're a Florida resident, this is too easy of a trip for you. Mandatory attendance is required at Bitcoin 2023.
Yeah. I think that's a reasonable expectation. If you live in Florida and you don't come to the conference, your body is a shitcoin.
I mean, you live in Florida, so your body probably already is a shitcoin, but I digress.
Yeah, fair enough. A worse shitcoin, more of a shitcoin.
Do we have the website pulled up? Because I mean, this is a Bitcoin conference in a real bear market right now. So this isn't going to be like a summer party. CK, I know that you really like this. What's going on with crypto winter or Bitcoin winter?
Yeah.
Shit, that was a Freudian slip.
Celebrate Bitcoin winter. I mean, it's winter for a lot of things, but it's definitely Bitcoin winter. And we assume that Bitcoin winter will be drawn out. So come celebrate with all your favorite Bitcoiners in Miami. Again, I love this theme. Many people knew about, we kind of had a combination of island, moon and stuff like that at last year's event. Expect maybe a lot of that to just be absolutely frosted. So I think that it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's really leaning into the current environment. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be that same awesome experience that you got from Bitcoin 22, but once again, bigger and better. And we take a lot of learnings from each of these events. So we're looking to double down on everything that went well, cut out all the stuff that didn't go well, and moving on forward, putting on the best events in the space.
Yeah, today we also announced and released the industry pass. So that is now available for sale, backed by popular demand. Lots of people have been hitting us up about when can I get my industry pass? And so you can get it now.
Yeah, let's look at the tickets.
Yep, $11.99 for the industry pass. Ticket prices do go up at midnight. We wanted to get the announcement out of the dates and the location before increasing prices again, but because they're selling so fast, we have to keep increasing ticket prices. That's just the nature of the events business. And so you have about 11 hours before ticket prices go up. So I'd encourage you to grab these before they increase tonight at midnight. You can also read about all the inclusions. You can see we got a couple of exciting new things that are added on to the Industry Pass and the Whale Pass. Industry Pass this year, we're adding an exclusive networking event. So stoked about this for Industry Pass holders who want to come and meet other people in the ecosystem. That's going to be a great opportunity to mingle with other Industry Pass holders and Whale Pass holders. And the Whale Pass, again, is back with a Whale Night as well as access to that industry event. The other thing that we're really excited about for this year is got a lot of feedback about more opportunities, people wanting more opportunities to network with other attendees. And so we're rolling out a brand new Bitcoin 2023 app, which will allow you to connect. It's purely opt-in. So, if you're somebody who wants to share your information so that people can reach out to you and make connections, maybe you want to grab a meal or a drink with somebody in the industry that's relevant to what you're doing in the industry, we're going to enable that through this app. That's going to be this can have exclusive access based on your pass type. So other industry pass holders will be able to network with industry pass holders, whale pass holders, with other whale pass holders. And so that's going to really up the networking side of the experience for Bitcoin 2023.
I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Is the tracking chip, the injection in the back of the neck, is that a required thing when we're using the app, or is that optional? Like, how's that work?
Yeah, so the tracking chip is completely optional. You definitely do not need to do that. No, but in all seriousness, we do take the privacy concerns of the Bitcoin community very seriously. We don't ID people at the door. You can use a NIM to buy your ticket. And again, all of the networking functionality is for people who want to opt into that. So it's purely optional. You can attend this event and remain somewhat anonymous, but just know that you are going to a public event where there's going to be a lot of people and there's going to be photography and all that kind of stuff. So to a certain extent, you are, going out into the world, and keeping your anonymity is not 100% guaranteed, but we try to do our best from an organizer perspective to maintain that.
I want to address a question from one of our regular viewers, Hammersaw. Fuck no. Right, George? Fuck no to vaccine?
Yes, that is an FAQ. The answer is fuck no. Vaccine is not required. We do not care about your health status. We don't check your vaccine. We don't need a PCR test, none of that.
Yeah, the FAQ is fantastic on the website. I highly suggest that everyone go and check it out. It's a solid list. For sure.
Y'all, so I think there's been kind of like mixed reviews with going back to Miami Beach. I want to first say that Miami Beach and Miami and Florida, we owe them a tremendous debt of gratitude for helping us, bring back the Bitcoin conference after it effectively got canceled because of COVID in California. They were one of the first open states. They are very pro-business and they're massive supporters. And frankly, the size that this conference has gotten, it becomes very difficult to find venues that work within your timeline. So just know that we love Miami Beach. It's going to be an amazing place for this event. We are going to have an incredible event in Miami. 2, we are looking at new cities for future events. And 3, you should get really excited about going. You should take advantage of the fact that this is once again in a freedom, pro-business, pro-fun place, and know that we are working extremely hard to make sure Bitcoin 24 and beyond continue to be in pro-freedom, pro-fun, pro-business places, and we continue to make huge impacts. And I don't know if, Chris, you can bring it up, but Mayor Suarez, he just tweeted moments ago a very, very kind and bullish thing about the Bitcoin conference. So I threw that in the chat there. But hey, people, this is our 3rd year now in Miami, but again, Miami is amazing. And on top of that, it's really hard to find venues that can accommodate a conference this size, given the turnaround. So appreciate the patience on that. And again, we're growing up with this conference as a company. So we're always learning.
What are, I know, George, you highlighted some of the differences and added features to the industry passes as well as the whale passes. What are, some things that people can look forward to that were at Bitcoin 22 that they'll see again at Bitcoin 23?
So definitely one of the highlights is the live desk. That'll definitely be back. I know you guys are excited about that. So there are several sponsors who are going to be back to replicate some of the things that they did last year, as well as improve on the activations that they brought. Once again, we're going to have the best speakers in the Bitcoin world. We announced an initial lineup if we want to pull that up and scroll down. But we're also, recognizing the fact that we are in a bear market and the time is right for orange pilling. We want to up our game on the Bitcoin 101, Bitcoin education side of things. We want to make this a great place to bring your friends. So I keep emphasizing this. I think it's really important, especially with ticket prices where they're at right now, $349 for GA pass until midnight tonight. That's going up by $100. By the time it's all said and done, by the time we approach May, that ticket is going to cost over $1,000. So it's just important to be proactive so that you can buy 2 tickets for the price of what one will cost in a few months from now. But yeah, so we're looking forward to a lot of the same features that we had last year, like that were really popular. Like CK said, we're doubling down on Sound Money Fest. We're doubling down on open source stage, and leaning into the mining stage as well. Got a lot of good feedback on the art gallery. That'll be back as well. So this is going to be a great environment for you to bring people who are Bitcoiners as well as people who are not yet Bitcoiners who you're trying to orange bill. And then the last thing I'll say from experience is bring your families too. Bring your kids. I brought my 13-year-old son last year, and I'm just telling you, not only did he have the time of his life, it has actually changed him. Like, he has done some growing up based on what he experienced at that conference. And I think exposing your family to other Bitcoiners is not only a great way to orange pill them, but it's just a great way to help everyone get on the same page as a unit, as a family. He started coming more frequently to the Bitcoin meetups now, and it's just a really exciting part of my own personal journey.
Yeah,
Hey,
Kingston.
Sorry, go for it.
I just want to celebrate Kingston for a second. He is fucking incredible. He was such a boss. He was like the MVP of the conference team.
No doubt.
Shout out to Kingston.
Also,
Big
shout out to
Kingston
him
fan.
flipping burgers at McDonald's during the bear market.
Hell yeah.
Live that beam up.
No doubt.
No, I really enjoyed getting to meet Kingston. If it's possible to actually bring up the speaker page again, I do want to point out someone who maybe Bitcoiners don't recognize on this speaker page. Zoltan, I can't pronounce his last name. Is it Pozar? Zoltan Pozar. This is probably one of the most impactful macro writers of today. This is someone that everyone who matters in the macro space, waits for his writings to come out on a regular basis. Every time he publishes his writings, it's getting pushed through every aspect of the macro space, including Twitter, where he is not. So Zoltan is a huge win, and I think him speaking at this conference is going to really attract a lot of people, a lot of institutions, a lot of folks in the macro space who would not have been taking Bitcoin so seriously. But when the most serious macro writer and thinker is an initial speaker, I think that is a massive signal. So Michael Saylor, Lynn Alden, Obi, Alex Gladstein, Corey Clipston, Michelle Pham, Stacy Herbert, all of these folks have been at Bitcoin events, been at the Bitcoin conference many times. They are Bitcoin staples. But Zoltan, he's effectively a huge name outside of Bitcoin. So I think it's worth really bringing him up.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I tried to get him for Bitcoin 2022, and he wasn't able to attend because of a conflict. I am so excited that we were able to get him for Bitcoin 2023.
I'm putting this in the universe, but I want Zoltan to also come on to BM Live.
Yes.
Put into the universe.
Why not? Manifest that.
Hell yes.
Maybe you can talk to our boy Dylan.
All right. I want to also get a sense from you guys. I know that ticket prices are supposed to be going up tomorrow, correct?
Tonight, midnight, 12 hours. There's a countdown at the top of the website.
So y'all know the drill. Don't get upset that ticket prices go up at midnight tonight. So
what do ticket prices go up to?
EA tickets are going up by $100 to $449. Whale passes are going up by $750 to $6,499. Industry passes are not going up tonight. So we just announced those today. So
how much are those?
$11.99.
So you heard it here, guys. If you are listening to this podcast, if you want to go to Miami, this is the time to buy your ticket. We got 3 amazing options. We're not adding any more tickets. It's the GA pass. It is the industry pass. It is the whale pass. All of them have an enormous amount of value. and all of them other than the industry pass are going up in price. So do not hold off. Make it happen.
Yep.
Love it.
I mean, we warned you guys. We said all of you who had to fly into Miami are probably going to have to fly into wherever we put Bitcoin 2023. Well, we made it as easy as possible for you. You're flying back to Miami for Bitcoin 2023 now. Plus, like that $100 savings, like that's what, a night's hotel, the shittiest hotel in Miami.
Hey, if you're going to be going, you might as well save $100. And again, the longer you wait, the prices are going to go up. It's programmed in. So, yeah, I don't know if we want to talk about some stories, maybe reflect on past Bitcoin conferences, but I think it's pretty clear, y'all. Ticket prices are going up. Speakers are amazing. We're going down in mid-May. Let's go. Celebrate Bitcoin winter in Miami. No better place.
Yeah, let's talk about the theme a little bit more. Why is the theme Bitcoin winter? I mean, we all know, but I want to hear you and George talk about it. Like, where did that come from? Why is that so on the nose?
I mean, I can jump in. I think the main thing that we want to convey here is that we are still in celebration mode, and there's still a lot to be excited about despite the price drop, right? Which is what the mainstream narrative really tends to focus on, is how Bitcoin prices hovering around 20K or whatever. And so we don't want to shy away from the fact that that's a reality that's happening. It is Bitcoin winter, but that there's still a lot to celebrate. There's still a lot of work to do. We still gotta make this happen and get together. And we're not like depressed. We're not sitting here talking about like how broke we are because the price of Bitcoin is down. We are excited to be building in this environment. So I think it's unexpected to kind of lean into it, but we're in a very celebratory and up mood.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're having fun. We're having fun staying poor. And here's the reality: to Bitcoin insiders, there is literally nothing better than the bear market, because that's when all the tourists go away. That's when all the signal comes back out. And, that's when it's most fun to be a Bitcoiner. And bear market events, frankly, are the best. So we don't necessarily want to lean into the negative. We want to continue that positive vibe. We want to, obviously we're a conference and a business and a media company that's built by Bitcoiners, made of Bitcoiners. And we just want to lean into the Bitcoin ethos. So, while other events, might be coming up with whatever theme that they think is relevant, trying to manufacture something, we're just leaning into what's happening. So guess what? Last year it was the beach. It was El Salvador. It was the volcano mining. And then this year it's winter. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. And, if you're going to survive winter, you better lean into winter. You better become winter. So that's what we're about.
I'm tempted to make a terrible Game of Thrones reference, but I will abstain. Yeah, and to be clear, when we say bear market, when we say winter, what we're talking about is, Bitcoin tends to go in these 4-year cycles that correspond to the halving cycles of Bitcoin. And, this has happened before. Whenever we enter this part of that 4-year cycle, Bitcoin price generally goes down. There's a bunch of changeover, bunch of people that were over leveraged get liquidated, as we've seen. And what happens is the real Bitcoiners come out of the woodwork, right? This is when the work gets done. This is when all of the innovation, the real innovation, happens. And so I think this is an incredible time to have the Bitcoin conference. I'm pumped.
And can I just say, tickets are flying off the shelf. I keep we have a channel on Slack where it's like every single time someone buys a ticket, it pings us. And I'm just absolutely addicted to that. It was really going off for a while. It definitely, the ticket flow kind of slowed down there as there wasn't a much fresh information out there. But, every time you pump new information in, every time people know about a new deadline, the tickets keep flying off the shelf. So y'all, ticket prices go up tonight on the East Coast, midnight Eastern. Buy your tickets now. Do whatever to get to Miami. We are going to be releasing more information about hotels very, very soon. And, again, it's really important that if you're going to be doing some traveling, even in 10 months, that you have it on your radar and that you're planning for getting those best prices.
Love it.
What,
I want to, oh, go ahead, Drew.
no, please, P.
All right. I was going to ask, like, I always find it fun to talk about like inside baseball stuff. So what were the moments for you, George, and UCK from last year's conference where you were the most stressed and then also the most excited?
Sound Money Fest for me. I mean, I think Sound Money Fest it's so new last year, right? It's the first time we did it. Didn't really know what to expect. Didn't know if anyone was going to show up because it was included in the GA pass. And so I was stressed the morning of Sound Money Fest. We also had to call an audible early that day because like bag policy on site. And so that was stressful. But then, man, it blew my expectations out of the water. It was so much fun. And everybody showed up, way more people than I expected to show up. It was a packed crowd. It was a huge party. It was a lot of fun. So I would say Sound Money Fest for me was the most stressful and most exciting.
CK, what about you?
So I don't think many people know this, but I worked like 7 or 8 jobs during the Bitcoin conference, whether I was checking people out in at the front, escorting VIPs in, manning the news desk, running different panels. Effectively, if it needed to get done, I was hustling to make it happen. I did mess up my schedule at a very inappropriate time, but I was outside in the hot in a t-shirt waving people in on GA day 1. Meanwhile, a panel I'm supposed to be moderating is beginning inside. I'm getting a call from the programming people freaking out about why I haven't showed up yet. And I am probably in the worst position possible to be there. So I immediately full sprint inside, sweaty as hell, try to change into a suit. And then from there, get to the stage. Don't know where the stage is. So that was an adventure. Finally get backstage 15 minutes late, and I just do a little sneak onto the stage. And all of a sudden, all the panelists look at me like, "Oh, you're here. Thought you weren't gonna make it." So ended up recovering. I was a little frazzled the rest of the day, but little fires like that happen left and right. And when you're putting on an event like this, pretty much to you, everything is going wrong, but you're doing a good job if to everyone else on the outside, they don't see any of those issues. So it's pretty much impossible to have an event run smoothly for the folks that are internal because nothing ever goes exactly as planned. But hey, if none of y'all know about any of the antics that happen backstage, that means we're doing a good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got one more inside baseball story for you.
Hit us.
We found this guy who was counterfeiting tickets, and so we had to boot him. We had to go grab security, and because you can't do that, by the way. So if you're thinking about counterfeiting tickets, like, we will figure it out and we will boot you, obviously. But so we locate him. We start walking him out with security. On our way out, the guy turns to me and he goes, "Hey man, no hard feelings, right?" And like, hold.
Oh my God.
And I'm like,
motherfucker, get out of here.
No hard feelings.
That's so funny. Yeah, I think for me, there were so many like crazy last minute things, both good and bad. I mean, Glenn Greenwald was someone that, I'd been in conversations with him and his team for weeks, and he had an issue with his passport. And so he wasn't going to be able to make it. And he called like literally the first day of the conference and was like, "I can go." And so we basically had to like scramble this mad dash to get him in, but it ended up being fantastic. I think, there was people trying to force their way onto the stage on multiple stages. I was on a little scooter. I had to like, zip around and be like, "Get the fuck out of here." But yeah, it was amazing. I think the thing that I was most proud of is the work that, Odell and I did on the open source stage. I was really, really excited about the way that turned out. Fought hard for a lot of the programming on that, and it was great. And I think it's going to be even better this year.
Yeah, I mean, we just did so many new things from a programming perspective last year, where we're experimenting with an open source stage, with the mining stage, with the news desk, which is effectively the main stage of virtual, and we didn't even actually understand that when we we're putting it together. So a lot of learnings, and I think that all of the content across the board is going to be really informed by those learnings. So I have no doubt that we're going to have massive improvements. And frankly, I'm excited to see our boy P on the news desk leading it up to the virtual audience. So this dude has so much freaking personality, and we had him in the back last time trying to police a bunch of degenerates trying to get on stage. So glad to have P in the limelight. And man, that news desk, that was one of my favorite things. It was really an honor to be a part of it. It's a ton of fun to prepare, and I know that P, Q, Alex, Chrissy, so many people on our team put in so much hard work to make that an awesome and successful experiment.
I want to share my story because that was literally all I did, other than working at the store the day after and someone yelling at me, being like, "You don't know the price of this after 3 days of the conference," which actually happened. It was absurd. Shout out Shane. Fuck, who's the guy running for governor in? Anyways, he defended me. Thank you for that. But on the note of the news desk, like first crack at doing this, and Shane Hazel, thank you. Shout out Shane Hazel. Alex McShane and I are sitting at the desk with David Bailey, and we just kind of look at each other, look at DB, and just go, by the way, like, thanks for trusting us with this, because like neither of us are qualified, but we think we're going to do a good job. He's like, hey, just don't fuck it up. I don't think we fucked it up. So
classic David Bailey comment.
No doubt.
You're unqualified. This is going to cost lots of money. All right, just don't mess it up.
Hell yeah.
Also hearing like what he wished we could do, like having the giant floating moon balloon, which I hope one day comes to life. Next bull market ideas. We're going to pin that for a bull market conference idea.
Wait, we had that in the expo hall.
Yeah, we did.
No. DB wanted to have like a moon that was so big that it was bigger than the convention center. And it was literally like you could see it from space. He wanted you to be able to look into Miami from a space shuttle. And yeah, anyways, Miami's going to be epic. It was epic last time. It was epic the year before. It's going to be even better this next year. Just quick roundtable of like, what is going to be the one thing that if someone had to just check out one thing at the conference, what would it be? P, we'll start with you.
I mean, if somebody had to check out just one thing at the conference, I would say fucking all of it. You got to go to the fucking conference. I mean, the thing that's so exciting about it, to be more serious, is that there's something there for everyone. Like there are people who legitimately go to the conference and they don't actually like in real time watch any of the content because they can see it later if they want to. They basically are there to participate in the event and to meet all the people that are their heroes and to, have incredible conversations with core devs and things like that. And there are people, the majority of people who go there like to actually see specific people. And I mean, there's multiple stages. There's the technically focused content. There's the politically focused content. There's the, the freedom and, sort of like HRF focused content. There really is something for everyone there, including, kids, families. So I think it's just a matter of figuring out what speaks to you the most, checking out the programming, checking out the people that are going to be speaking and the events that are happening around in Miami, and then planning your trip almost like you would for Disneyland, right? Like you have to go through and figure out like which rides you're going on because there's so many things happening. But yeah, that'd be my answer.
Bitcoin Disneyland, baby.
Let's fucking go. TK, what about you?
Oh man. Well, I got one word: networking. Networking. That's where all the Bitcoiners come to be together, to hang out, to get a job, to create a new team, to found companies, to make lifelong friends, to meet lifelong friends that you've only known on the internet. It's all about networking. The content is absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend, use the app, use our agenda in order to go to your favorite content opportunities, see that live. But for the rest of the time, go to the parties, go to the networking events, hang out in the lounges, and make sure to meet Bitcoiners in person, because here on YouTube, here on Rumble, here everywhere that Bitcoin Magazine posts content, we will be documenting and posting all of the content there. So you just got to network. You got to go to Miami. You got to network. And that's the thing, the content you can see virtually, the networking, you have to be there in real life.
George, what's your answer?
So I'm going to go, ditto to what both of you said. I think all of those are really important, but I think one underrated aspect of the conference is the expo hall. And just walking through the massive expo hall and seeing all the building that's taking place, seeing all the companies and what they're up to, gets me really inspired and excited about the future. It's kind of like, this is like the South by Southwest, right, of our industry. And it lets you peek into what's coming down the pipeline for a lot of these companies, whether it's new releases or, you got to remember, a lot of companies are making major announcements, and they build their roadmaps to have these conferences be like the crescendo. So walk to the expo hall, get to meet some of these founders, some of these employees at these Bitcoin companies. And half the companies in there you probably never even heard of, didn't even know existed. Didn't even know existed. So definitely encourage you to check out the expo hall.
The correct answer was merch. That was the answer we were looking for. So you all failed epically. And if you did not get any of the Bitcoin conference merch, it is still available for a limited time at the Bitcoin Magazine store.
Yeah, we have no Bitcoin 22 merch left over. That stuff is flying right off the shelves. Hey, speaking of merch, this is my favorite Bitcoin Magazine t-shirt ever, and it's not available. So sucks to suck.
But yeah, you can't do that, bro.
It's like that, man.
I'm going to post CK's address, and we're going to bum rush him, and we're all going to just steal that shirt and rip pieces of it. And everyone will have a fraction of that t-shirt that CK is wearing one day.
Scarcity. I love it.
Gentlemen, any final thoughts before I kick you off?
You cannot have a fraction of a t-shirt. It does not work that way.
Hey, all I know is Bitcoin Gandalf, I'm talking to you right now. One pizza does not equal one pizza. All right? Enough with this shit.
Final thoughts is grab your tickets before ticket prices go up, and we will see you in Miami in May, and hopefully we'll see you in Amsterdam in October.
Let's
good,
go.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
See you next time.
Adios.
Peace.
We will have a very short stream today. We wanted to give this special announcement for all of you. We got some news and notes to go over with you. Chris, if you want to now show your pretty face. And just a quick little tidbit, because I may or may not have not sent out a schedule of events on Twitter. My bad, guys. We'll do news and notes up until the top of the hour. And at 11 o'clock Pacific, 2 o'clock Eastern time, we'll be popping over to Twitter, and we will be joined by Dan. Chris, save me again, please.
Batten,
thank you. Dan Batten, who wrote an excellent article explaining how actually every single ESG proponent should be pro Bitcoin. So we'll be having a long discussion with him on Twitter Spaces at 11 o'clock. But let's kick things off with some news and notes. We have a very big story about a core developer, P, if you wanted to lay this out and explain why this is significant.
Yeah, so Peter Wolla, who is a core developer on Bitcoin, announced that he is going to be stepping down as the main, or as one of the main core contributors. And people got all excited about it. It's like, oh my God, what's going on? But he also made it clear that he is still going to be participating actively. It's just that he has had this specific role for, multiple years now that doesn't reflect the his, active contributions in the space. So it's definitely an interesting moment in time. And this is totally normal, right? The core devs rotate in and out, the contributors, the maintainers. And so that's what we're seeing. But it was definitely an interesting story on Twitter. Chris, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think he also mentioned that he's not going anywhere. I think a lot of people thought A lot of developers left in 2020 and 2021 that had been developers for a long time, whether it was because they got really wealthy on the price rise or they just were tired of doing it. He said he's still going to be working on projects and helping a lot of things that he's already doing. So I don't think he's going anywhere. And like I think P, you brought up that he hasn't been doing much maintaining anyway. It's a role. It's a tedious role. It's an important role, but he still had a key in order to do that. But he's going to be stepping away from that. But yeah, looking forward to what he's doing next, basically in the space.
Yeah, and again, to be very clear, what he's done is he was one of the maintainers of the project. So there's a very small group of people who have the ability to, reject or accept specific changes to Bitcoin Core. Very small group that's, very well vetted. And so he hasn't been actively doing that role. Other people have taken on more and more of that role in the years. And so basically he is specifically stepping back from the maintainer role, but he will still be an active contributor to Bitcoin Core. So
I'll add one little caveat there. I mean, I guess anyone can take Bitcoin's protocol. It's open, free and open source. You can download it and do whatever you want. Normally, if you're trying to propose something to go in it, it would be a pull request. If you try and just say, hey, you guys don't accept it, I'm doing my own thing, that would technically be an altcoin or a deviation from Bitcoin as we know it, or as Bitcoin Core or BTC is known. But yeah, you're free and open to do whatever you want with it. A lot of times the maintainers or the core maintainers will ask you to do a pull request. If they like it or they review it and they say this is something that should be implemented, they will then go forward and push it forward for future clients going forward. But obviously, we don't want to break Bitcoin as it is with a new update that causes things to break. Go ahead, Q.
I just want to say, firstly, and then I do have a question for the two of you. I love the fact that I actually know the difference between a pull and push request. But let's talk a little bit about like core developers and the fact that this is an open source project, like what that actually means. Because I don't think everyone really understands. Like I only very recently understood the dynamics of what it means to be a core developer. What does maintaining the code realistically mean on a day-to-day basis? Like what is it that he is stepping away from?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, Bitcoin Core is one of the most heavily reviewed pieces of software in existence. And that's one of the things that gives it so much power, right? So when you talk about open source versus closed source software, open source software is software that the entire code base or large portions of the code base can be reviewed and criticized and improved by anyone. Now, there's a very, very specific process that happens. So it's not the case that anyone can just go in and be like, I'm breaking Bitcoin. No. Anybody can basically what's called forking the code, which is where you basically make your own copy of the code that's kind of linked back on GitHub, and then so you make changes, and then basically you issue what's called a pull request, where you say, hey, I think this is a change that's important, and then if that is a valuable or reasonable thing, then it gets considered. There's a whole process called where specific suggestions for changes are submitted called BIPs. It's Bitcoin Improvement Protocol. And there's a very, very regimented process where multiple people review, honestly, thousands of people review the code. And there's a very small group of people who are the maintainers that basically are the select group of people who have demonstrated over many years that they are capable of holding the responsibility of, after the community and thousands of people have reviewed it, actually, merging a new update in. And so, Peter Willa has had the ability to do that for many years. He has been a Bitcoin Core contributor since 2011. One of the most significant contributions he made, or the most well-known, is BIP32, which introduced seed phrases into Bitcoin. So before that, you didn't have these 12 or 24 word seed phrases, and that was a significant improvement because it made it more human readable to basically be able to keep track of your seed phrase. That was it was a big deal. He also contributed to SegWit and a bunch of other things. Honestly, thousands of contributions over the many years, or 11 years, let's say. And so again, what he's done is he is totally voluntarily saying, hey, you know what? I haven't been doing the maintainer role for a long time now. I'm going to step back from that role so that other stars can rise, and he's going to continue to contribute as he already is. So again, Bitcoin Core is an open source software project, and the idea of open source is actually rather novel. for a long time, businesses, everything was closed source, which is where you view all of your code as being proprietary information, and you do not give anyone the ability to review that code. That was a business model for a very long time. And in the last couple decades, the open source community has proven time and time and time and again that having a code base that is viewable by everyone, and that everyone can, from all different disciplines, right? You have cryptographers, obviously, in Bitcoin, that's a huge part of it. You have user experience experts, like all these diverse aspects of software engineering development. When you have a code base that is open, you allow the sort of the larger community to suggest improvements. And so it's become a very, very common model, even for for-profit businesses, where they'll have large portions of their code base or portions of their code base open source, so that they can get that benefit of the larger community making suggestions and improvements, and then they can review them and merge them in as appropriate. So it's one of the most important aspects of Bitcoin specifically, because again, Bitcoin is this decentralized protocol, and part of that is that it is fully reviewable by everyone. And so that increases the security, it increases the usability. Basically, everything about it is improved through that process.
Thank you for that very detailed explanation. I hope everyone is able to understand a little bit more about what exactly a core developer is. And if that's something that interests you, the door is genuinely open for you to try. And I now want to ask this question, because I maybe misrepresent this a little bit and can finally be told that I'm right or wrong. I talk a lot about how DeFi and all these DeFi protocols are just decentralized in name alone. But the fact that you have these core developers who work on Bitcoin, some of them anonymously, some of them all spread out across the world with different incentives and motives, actually makes for the Bitcoin protocol to be more decentralized. And the fact that anyone can, contribute to the source code itself further enhances the decentralized aspect of this network. Am I making a conflated statement by saying that, or is this an accurate assessment?
I'm so sorry. You cut out for a second. Can you restate the question?
No. Okay. I'll paraphrase. I love saying that Bitcoin is the most decentralized network, and I actually point to the fact that anyone can be a core developer if they just want to spend the time to make an edit that they see fit, that then gets accepted by the Bitcoin core developer group. Is that an accurate assessment of the decentralized aspect of Bitcoin versus the centralized aspect of all the other bullshit DeFi protocols?
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, I think that's an oversimplification. And the reason is because you can still have a shitcoin that has its code base open source. You can still have a code base that is viewable by everyone and can be contributed to, and there's a group of maintainers who go through and have, through merit, demonstrated that they're capable of that responsibility. But the specific things that the code does can still be very centralized. So you can have open source software that is completely centralized, and you can have open source software that is completely decentralized. So those things are sort of orthogonal to each other. The aspects of Bitcoin that make it decentralized, or many aspects of it decentralized, are this is a large aspect of what the block size wars were fought over, which was increasing or potentially increasing the block size. And the issue there would one of the many issues was that it would have meant that it was much harder for the average person to run a Bitcoin Core node. One of the amazing things about the Bitcoin network is that anyone can, for a couple $100, or if you have an old computer laying around, you can basically spin up a Bitcoin Core node and independently validate from your own hardware every single transaction that has ever happened in the Bitcoin network. And that's an amazing thing, right? And when you do something like, or you suggest something like increasing the block size, that means that you have to have more substantial hardware and a bunch of other things in order to be able to do that. And so that would have centralized the network itself, because it would have meant that fewer people could actually afford to, run their own Bitcoin Core node. It would have done a lot of other things as well. And this is an oversimplification. But when you talk about something like Ethereum, they just there's so much bullshit that happens in the Ethereum space. I've said before, many of us have said before, Ethereum is like the gaping anus through which all the shitcoins pour into the world. And they use a lot of marketing terms in order to try to, shill it. And one of those is, in Bitcoin, you have a full node and you can verify all the transactions. Well, in Ethereum, it's way more centralized, because in order to run what's called an archival node, that's their own sort of marketing spin for justifying why not everyone can run an archival node, you have to have like basically a full fucking data center. So again, in Bitcoin, because it's important to the Bitcoin network that it is decentralized, that anyone can run a Bitcoin Core node, you can do this for only, a couple $100 or even less if you buy an old used laptop or something like that. In Ethereum, it is very centralized, because in order to run an archival node, the equivalent in Bitcoin of just a normal core node, you have to have like a full fucking data center. So that's an example where the protocol decisions actually, even though the software is open source, have actually centralized a significant aspect of the network. So they run kind of orthogonally.
Got it. All right, I got to come up with a new way of explaining this. So P, we're going to huddle up afterwards, but I do want to share one more story that is developing in real time. Turns out Canadian banks and credit cards and so on are not working at this present moment in time. It seems as though, my source is Twitter, so bear with me that I'm getting it from Jeff Kurdekis. I hope I pronounced your last name properly. Apologies if I did not. The banking system, including all debit cards, are currently down in Canada. No one can make payments for anything. So I guess this is my response to anyone that has ever said, but what happens to Bitcoin if the internet shuts down? What happens to your bank account if the banks shut down? This is scary. This is further validation for Bitcoin. I'm loving that Canada is turning into like a test zone for why Bitcoin. Time and time again, Canada continues to really prop up Bitcoin. What are your guys' initial thoughts on this?
My initial thoughts, if you don't mind me going first, P, is tinfoil hat. We're putting that on. Isn't this what the WEF, the World Economic Forum, was talking about? Like, oh, there's going to be a banking holiday on a Friday where your banks go down, no one's things work, and then we have to reset the system. This is the Great Reset. This is upon us.
Oh my God. Someone, Tino, Andrea, someone has to screenshot Chris's face in that moment.
Yeah, that was the craziest I've ever seen you.
That was good. I did it for the clips, but anyway. No, I think it's very interesting. I mean, they talk about this Great Reset, and I believe even Klaus Schwab himself was saying, "Oh, there's going to be a banking holiday. Banks are going to be down for the whole weekend, and then we start this new system. Whether that's a CBDC, whether that's I don't know. What's the saying? You're 3 meals away from a revolution. So if people can't access their bank accounts." I'm assuming the banks, you can't even withdraw money. I don't know. This is just speculation at this point. But then cash becomes your only option, and or Bitcoin. I guess you can lump like other things become a money, because it's like, oh, hey, I got some gasoline. I'll give you some gasoline to get my groceries. I know that sounds crazy, but like the barter system breaks down. If you don't have cash, what do? Oh, I have Bitcoin. Oh, maybe I have another cryptocurrency. Not that I advocate those. I'm just saying, like, what do you have that you can use in the moment? And if someone needs gasoline for their car to get somewhere and you can siphon some out of your car, that is now a barter trade. Like, I don't know. It's scary for sure. And I hope it gets resolved quickly, but it is something that's very, very interesting. Yeah, I don't know. That's my first thoughts.
I mean, you're so spot on, and I'm genuinely trying to do the math right now of like, how many canisters of gas do I need to buy? And at what price point does gas need to get to for this to actually be a profitable investment?
I
love where your head's at, Chris.
No, the answer is buy Bitcoin.
And gas.
Thank you for grounding us there.
Yeah, of course. You do not need to, get a little gasoline siphon system set up so that you can pull it into your mouth and get mouth cancer eventually because you're, insufflating, fucking gasoline. Don't do that. Just buy Bitcoin instead. You'll be good to go.
Pete, so actually, this is actually a good question for you and Q as well. How would someone do that if your bank is shut down? In most instances, with Strike, with Cash App, with whatever centralized platform, if you were to go and buy it right now and the banks are down, you can't get money in and out. What would be the best way to do a peer-to-peer transaction that I give you cash or whatever for Bitcoin in return? How would someone do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. Again, all joking aside, like you're right, Q. And Chris, this is a perfect example of the fundamental, or one of the fundamental premises of Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin disintermediates the process of value exchange. So whereas if you want to send somebody money, whether it's via Venmo or PayPal or even Cash App, which I love Cash App, or just through your bank, right, or through the ACH system, there is an intermediary there, right? You cannot complete that transaction unless the intermediary, whether it's both your banks, PayPal, and then there's layers on top of that, acquiesces to that transaction. So if you have your money in a bank and the bank goes under, or the bank suspends, the ability to withdraw, as we saw in the Bitcoin space with, Celsius and, Voyager and these other exchanges, which is why we say get your, not your keys, not your coin, get your Bitcoin off an exchange. There's nothing you can do because they control those funds. All you actually owe if you have your money, or the only thing you actually own if you have your money in a bank account is an IOU. You are trusting the bank to make good on that IOU, and they sometimes don't. With Bitcoin, there is no intermediary. If you control your private keys, you can sign a transaction that moves that Bitcoin to another address, and that can be an address owned by somebody else, and then you're done. There's no way to stop that transaction. Once it gets mined into a block, you're good to go. There's nothing else that needs to be done. So that's one of the reasons that I am so excited about Bitcoin. Many people are so excited about Bitcoin. It's one of the really compelling aspects of it. But to answer your question, Chris, Bitcoin can be purchased for cash. You can go into go to a meetup and you can, ask who will sell me some Bitcoin for, cash, whatever your local currency is, or, who will sell me some Bitcoin for, a half can of gas that I, sucked into my mouth and then spit back into the can out of a car that was down the street. And whatever you are exchanging for that Bitcoin, somebody can then just pull open their phone and sign a transaction and send that Bitcoin to you. So one of the best ways to get Bitcoin, if you don't want to go through a centralized entity, is to just go to a meetup and buy some there. Now, be safe, of course. You don't want to be carrying around a bunch of cash or something, but that's a great way. There's also protocols that are non-KYC. KYC stands for Know Your Customer, and it's something that while it seems like a good idea in theory, right? The idea that the narrative that we're fed is like, banks and the government need to know exactly who is transacting for every single dollar because, terrorism. That's a constant boogeyman that is thrown out there. The reality is, know your customer laws and regulations historically end up hurting more than, or harming more than they help. Because what happens is whenever you have all that data, your driver's license, your address, your social security number, whenever you have all that data centralized, it creates a honeypot that is a very, very promising target for someone to hack into and steal. And that just happens again and again and again and again. And so we talk a lot about getting non-KYC Bitcoin, and there's a number of ways to do that. You can mine your own Bitcoin, but one that I really like is called BISC. That's BISQ. You can go and do some research. Again, do your own homework. Don't just take anything that any of us are saying as fact. Don't trust, verify. But there are many ways to get non-KYC Bitcoin.
If you listen to three talking heads and make all of your financial decisions based on three talking heads online, you're a fucking idiot. Yeah. Do your own due diligence. Don't just do things because we tell you to. But on that note, there was something very important, P. I know, Chris, you are frantically trying to get us to wrap. P brought up an excellent point. Your money in the bank is an IOU, but so is your Bitcoin on exchange. None of this fucking matters if you do not hold and custody your own Bitcoin. We saw it happen during the Canadian trucker protests, and we had Kraken CEO Jesse come out and say, like, get this off of exchanges because I can't hold off the government forever. So self-custody. That is the next step of your Bitcoin journey if you are not yet already. But I leave you with that. Pop on over to Twitter and join us over there, guys. And of course, if you have not yet already, lock in your tickets to Bitcoin Amsterdam now.
We'll see you on Twitter.
Peace out.
Peace.